What's up, coaches? I want to talk to you for just a few moments about your program. The longer I'm in this profession, the more I understand that efficiency is truly the name of the game. You're talking offense, defense, doesn't matter, right? Eventually, you're going to come down to checking out your efficiency. So I have to ask you, are you doing everything in your program the most efficient way, right? Are you fundraising the most efficient way? Are you representing your players and your program to the public in the best way? Are you planning to build the facilities the most efficient way? If you answered no to any of those, or really even if you answered yes to all of them, and you haven't contacted Mark Bridges at Ace Sports, you're missing a key step. So look, Mark and his team, they are the go-to group for video board and scoreboard installations for your school. They're not just football either. Mark can help you mock up your newest video board for that new stadium, or maybe even your old stadium, right? That's where Mark and the guys come in. And we're not just buying a flashy thing, right? Yes, it's nice. It's pretty neat to have that big scoreboard, that big video board, but you're also, you're investing back into that program. You're investing into that newest fundraiser. Sure, you can keep selling your discount cards, your beef jerky, hosting pie auctions, whatever it is that you like to do. But let's just be honest with ourselves, guys. We're not making enough money for those big ticket items. For the big ticket items like turf, an indoor facility, that's where you need a big ticket item fundraiser. That's what Ace Sports is offering you today. Guys, I've talked to Mark several times now, right? And it always comes down to big school, small school. Right? Well, of course, the big schools can afford that new video board, but the small schools really can't. It's just not true anymore, man. Your school isn't too small, and I promise. Okay, 1A, 2A schools, it doesn't matter. Mark and the guys, they're helping them out. Contact Mark today at mark.bridges@acesports.com and let him come give you a quote. Let him show you and your administration the plan. Now, really, it's the cheat code, right? Let him show you the cheat code that is fundraising with Ace Sports video boards. Tell him Daniel sent you. This episode is brought to you by Athletic Speed and Movement. At athleticspeedmovement.com, we've taken Del Basquet's 45 years of speed and movement training and put it all in one place just for you. You can get the same training that NFL players have been getting for years, collegiate players have been getting for years, and now high schools across the nation are paying thousands of dollars to bring Del in to install his system, but we've got it online for you. It's time to help your team become faster, not just in the 40, not just their sprint speed, but between the tackles and their cuts while they're chasing down the quarterback. It's time for you to help them become faster everywhere. Jump over to athleticspeedmovement.com. There's an orange button there. Just click it. It says, get the keys to playing faster. You'll get the 3 core movement video from Dell. He's explaining the science behind it, all for just the price of your email. Check it out, athleticspeedmovement.com.
Coaching 101 podcast is sponsored by Findaway Productions. Findaway Productions also sponsors fbcoachsimpson.com for all your coaching needs, with over 30 coaching materials, books, as well as 50 PowerPoints and videos and smaller materials and the free magazine headsets. Findaway Productions also sponsors offensivecoordinatoracademy.com, all things offense, and defensivecoordinatoracademy.com, all things defense.
Football made simple. Become great at your craft by finding ways to make it simple for those around you. This is the Coaching 101 podcast hosted by Findaway Productions, with your co-hosts, Daniel Chamberlain and Kenny Simpson. What's up, coaches? Daniel Chamberlain here, Coaching 101 podcast. That is Kenny Simpson, and we are joined tonight by legendary coach Noel Mazzone.
Oh, that's a cool thing you guys have. I mean, that's like really official.
Yeah,
I would have, if I'd known that, I'd have dressed up a little bit.
Don't worry, man. We look like we're sponsored by Under Armour tonight, but it's just whatever's around.
That's right. Yeah. We need to be Under Armour if you're listening. We will take free stuff.
We absolutely will take a sponsorship. Come on in. Well, Coach, I mean, tonight's episode's all about you, brother. So I told you we'd let you introduce yourself and talk about, ball and just kind of your path.
Yeah, well, it's like, how long is this podcast? Because to talk about the stops I've had might take a while.
Right? It's as long or short a time you got.
Yeah. So, it's like, as you guys know, being coaches, you know what it is? It's like it's an addiction, right? I mean, you have to do it. So this would be like year, 39 for me. And so then I stopped coaching. Well, that's like this, guys. All right. Is that sometimes you're never done with coaching, but there are times when coaching's done with you. Okay. So coaching was done with me about 3 years ago after I was at the University of Arizona. So I was like, oh man, this is nice. I don't have to recruit. I don't have to do any of that stuff. So what did I do? I went and volunteered at a high school in town because I live in Phoenix. All right. ended up coaching those guys and spending 12 hours a day watching film. And so I've been doing that for the last 3 years. And then about 10 days ago, Daryl called me from the UFL, and they had some turnover and some things like that happen, and said, "Hey, you want to call some plays?" I said, "Yeah, I'll call plays." Like I told you guys earlier, I was up on a 16-foot ladder trimming the palms in my backyard in Scottsdale, and about 8 hours later, I was getting off a plane in Dallas, and 24 hours later, I was calling a game off another guy's call sheet, Coach. Right? So I had no idea what any word on the call sheet meant. All right, I would just call a number. So I've been here for a week. Last week I got one game under the belt. We beat Skip Holtz's team, Birmingham, this last week, which is funny because my son actually played for Skip at ECU, and so I saw Skip, who's an awesome dude, and so I've had 1 week. So I'm in my second week now at the UFL.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't imagine, I complain about having all summer to put an offense in. I can't imagine walking in and trying to read a foreign language on a call sheet.
Oh my God, I would never do it again. Yeah. Obviously, I was kind of like, I thought I was a little bit smarter than I was. Okay, I was like, no problem. Give me the call sheet. I can call these things. But when you look at a call sheet and you have no idea what any word on there means, right? Does that mean 4 verts, curl flat? Does it mean a run? It was tough, so it was an experience. I wouldn't do it again. I would not recommend it.
Well, we'll be following now. I got a reason to watch UFL. So now I didn't know you were coaching in it till I thought I'd seen something. And so now, because I got nothing to do on Sunday afternoons because nothing is on.
So we play 11 o'clock this Saturday.
Okay.
11 on Saturday.
Yep.
You're taking on the rough. Is it? What is it?
Houston. We're taking on Curtis and his Rough Riders down there in Houston.
There we go.
Yeah, so we're getting on it. I think we bus down there. It's a couple hours down the road, so we're going down there to play. But I tell you, I did this right the first year, right after the University of Arizona. When I got out, I went with Larry Fedora. You know Larry.
Yeah.
I went with Larry to the USFL when it was the New Orleans Breakers at that point. And so, and that was in Birmingham, where we had 10 teams or 8 teams. I can't remember, 8 or 10 teams, and all 8 teams were housed at the downtown Sheridan, and we held our meetings in the downtown Sheridan. And so I was doing that, and then ended up not doing it the next year, and then they happened to call me now. So it's been, I tell you what, it's really good football. I mean, these kids have been awesome. They're obviously in a position here where they're trying to create value for themselves. I think they had something like 60 some kids out of the UFL that were in NFL camps last year. They actually they can make a living. They make a pretty good living now. They as far as salary wise in UFL is a pretty good form. So Daryl and Russ Brand and the Rock. I haven't met the Rock yet, but those guys they've put together a nice product. It's just the whole thing about generating fan base, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you get a chance to get a picture with the Rock, man, that'd be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to meet him. Well, in fact, I coached for Dennis Erickson at ASU, and the Rock played for Coach Erickson at Miami. Yeah. So I could say, hey, I know Coach Erickson to him. So
yeah. But connections, even him, buddies. So, well, I know Daniel, this is kind of his show. I know we usually do a quote of the week and all that stuff with you on here. We kind of feel like our time is limited, but I do want to do the quote. If that's all right, Daniel, you okay with that?
Yeah, let's knock it out, man.
All right. So, quote of the week for the guys that have been on here and regulars on here is from Buddha. I thought, let's go ahead. Why can't we quote this guy? So we're going to go ahead and try it. It says, thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle is never shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. And I thought, to me, and I know Coach had to deal with it at college, and it's bad at high school now where everything is a competition to get recruited. People are putting, hey, I'm blessed by so-and-so to get this offer, and then you got people making fun of them. And I just never really understood that. Like, I never really understood why you would root for somebody else to fail, because it really doesn't help you at all. Like, I don't understand that. But you see it all the time in sports. So I thought that might be a good little quote for us to start with and get us kind of moving down the road.
Well, and I think it's a really good quote here because we're just talking about, coaches' connections and who he knows and the network, how it builds. And it's the same way in coaching, right? Like, it seems like there's always someone rooting for someone else's downfall. Like, it's so easy just to, just be happy, be excited for a guy that gets a new job. Even if a guy gets a job over me, I'm excited for him. Like, I've said that in an interview. Like, if you hire him, you're getting a great ball coach. Like, it's not a concern. Just being happy for people's. It's like a lost art.
Yeah, and I agree completely with you guys over all the years, all the friendships I've built and made and relationships, and that's the cool part, right? That to get the phone call or the Facebook from a guy you coached with, and in my how I see it is that there's such a need right now for that kind of thought for our youth from coaches, because you touch a kid a lot as a coach. You touch a kid sometimes probably as much as anybody besides maybe his parents, as anybody in that life. Mm-hmm. And if there's any time that the youth in our society right now need that kind of leadership, it's like right now, because oh my gosh, I don't know what that, if I was at their age now, I don't know how they have to deal. They have to deal with social media. They have to deal with NIL. They have a bad game and 1,000 people tweet bad stuff about them. I mean, they have to deal with so much outside noise that we never had to, that I never had to, that they need something in their life that can kind of ground them a little bit, I think. And a lot of times that's the high school football or the youth football coach.
Yeah. And Coach, you don't know me very well. We've kind of spoke a few times through Zoom, but I run an offensive system. I travel around talking to people all the time, and you've probably heard this, where I'll go into a clinic. Hey, that guy's using your stuff. And I'm like, well, good. That's why we did it. Like, I learned so much from watching all your stuff, the end zone system. Like, I took that stuff and I said, man, this is really good stuff and we can use this. And unfortunately in our world, there are a few people like you who are willing to give, but there are a lot of people who would rather make fun of or something else, where they don't want their stuff out there. They don't want others to do well. And so I've always never understood that.
Nah, well, I'll be honest with you, Kenny. As you well know, there's not many original thoughts in the game of football.
Correct.
Curl flat is curl flat.
Yep.
Right. And we go back to Don Coryell, okay, or whoever. And so, yeah, I've always thought that just like you, I've always wanted to help or share, or if I can help somebody's team get better, then why wouldn't I?
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny. We're kind of having this conversation. I'm trying like heck to finish my article for the Headsets magazine, and Jamie said get it done tonight. So that's what I've been pounding out keys on that. Dealing with a herniated disc in my back, so like sitting here sucks. But I got to sit here and get the job done. But I'm writing about the 2-part RPO and just how it isn't any different than triple option football. A lot of coaches get caught up in like, and Kenny, I've heard you even at your clinic, you talk about having a 2-part RPO, and not every quarterback can do it, but it's not undoable by a high school quarterback, right? But it's no different than teaching a kid to read a crashing defensive end, pull it, and then reading a force player to pitch it. It's triple option football. It started in 41 or 45 or something, like way back there.
I tell you, if you ever think you invented spread offense and all this stuff, read a book called the 12 Mighty Orphans. I don't know if you've read that.
Yeah, it's good, real good.
From an orphanage right over here in Fort Worth, I believe, or someplace in Texas, where the coach is an orphanage. He had like 11 guys is all he had on the team, and he talks about they didn't have any big guys. And he ended up winning the state championship against like Odessa Permian or something. And he talks about this is like in the 40s, right? And he talks about so I ran a spread offense, a 4-wide spread offense. And when I read the book, I shut the book. I went, oh, my God, I thought I invented the 4-wide spread offense. Well, I didn't. All right. So they've been doing it for a long time.
Nothing new under the sun, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's what I kind of think that's our first question for you, Coach, is that's it. I mean, basically is where are you seeing the game going? Like where do you see – you've been around now, you said 39 years. I've been around now for above 20. Daniel's been involved in the game for about 5. So he's getting there.
We got a puppy. We got a puppy on the.
No, he's a military guy, so he's got real life experience over there. But that shows it to me, like, even in the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, where do you see it going right now?
Okay, so he has military experience, but I've also called plays in Knoxville in the University of Tennessee Stadium, and that's almost like, or LSU at Baton Rouge at night. That's almost like military experience, war experience, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I kind of like, I don't know that I envy people that have to do that. Nayland is 106,000 people screaming and chunking beers at you. Like
people always ask me, they go, Coach, does it bother you when you people say, oh, he can't call plays? I go, listen, I've been booed by 109,000 people at the same time. So really, it doesn't bother me. Nothing bothers me anymore.
There's been times I've called a play and I've been booed, not by that many, but I've turned around and went, they're probably right.
They're probably right. Yeah. Yeah. I became a lot better play caller. I slept better at night when I came to the realization that sometimes the defense wins. Mm-hmm. So I accept that and I move on. Right? I play the next play. Right. But no, as far as like where I see football going over the years, like you talked about, like back, I'm gonna think like in the 80s, I was at TCU with Coach Jim Wacker, right, and running split back veer. And then we went to Minnesota and we became an empty football team. So, and this is back in 89 and 90 and 91. The thing that I think that's really that's not hurting the game, but where you see the biggest change is that at the quarterback position is the quarterback has now become almost like a read and react guy. Okay. He's become more of a point guard. He's not the old 5-step. Remember the old 5-step, 7-step, read a coverage, do this. And that's what the RPO game has brought and you see it in the NFL even. I mean, I really see the college, the high school offenses trickling up to college. I see the college offenses trickling up to the NFL, where now it's like get the ball out of your hands because defensive fronts have become so good, so big, and so athletic that it's hard to run the ball. All right. If you can't get the numbers right in the box, it's hard to run the ball against anybody. And I think all this RPO and quick screens and putting conflict defenders and all that kind of stuff is really to me is part of the running game. And I see the defenses are kind of starting to catch up to that a little bit. Right. So now we're going to cycle back to where, okay, let's get under the center a little bit more. Right. Let's do some of those things and kind of become more multiple instead of just being a straight, which I was for years, just straight 4 wides, right? 4 wides. It's hard to run the ball. If you can't throw it, if you got a quarterback that can't throw it or process information quickly for you, it gets tough. So now how do you combat that? So that's what makes the game so great. I enjoy it. Everybody enjoys that part of it.
And that's one thing we talk about our clinics. I'd love to hear your point on this too. Is I always point out, the last 4 quarterbacks playing at the highest level were Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Daniels and Jaden Daniels. And then if you even go back one more round, it was Lamar Jackson. And so what do those guys have in common? They're not statues. I mean, unless you're just elite. I'm a Dolphin fan, so I have to live it every Sunday. Poor Tua has to play perfect football to win because he can't give you anything with his legs. I don't blame him for it. He's doing the best he can. He has to be an elite processor, elite accuracy to have a chance. Or Josh Allen or Mahomes may make the wrong read, spin around 3 defenders, and rip a 60-yarder and make a play. So to me, that's kind of where I'm seeing the biggest change of the game is now coaches they're recognizing and admitting we want to take the best athlete and put him at quarterback.
Yep. You're exactly right. Yeah. And that's the biggest. So I did this study probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I said, all right, who are the top red zone scoring offenses in the NFL? Who scores more touchdowns in the red zone than anybody in the NFL? And that year it happened to be the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was Aaron Rodgers and it was Patrick Mahomes. And so then I went and I said, okay, so what are they doing down there that's so great? I have to do this. They're scoring touchdowns like 68% of the time, right? I got to put in all these schemes. So I put the tape on and started watching him. And what I found out was that 64% of the time that they scored touchdowns, it was off schedule. So the scheme, it wasn't like we caught it, the scheme worked, it's wide open, we throw it, touchdown. It was them getting out of the pocket and making some sort of a throw, making a guy miss, throwing it back across their body or whatever. And so to your point, right, the ability to a quarterback to get out of the pocket and create offense for you has really been a huge change at all levels.
Now, does that, because I know you're an RPO guy, because I've run a bunch of your stuff. And I know we're off schedule here, Daniel, but
That's okay.
Does that dictate? Because I'm starting to see it with myself this year. I call him a baby quarterback. I got a sophomore quarterback last year. He took us to the semifinals. He was pretty good, but he's not always a play on schedule type of guy. And as a coach, I want you to play on schedule. I want you to play on schedule. Some of the best things he did was what you mentioned. It wasn't there, and then he made me look really smart. Do you catch yourself, and I'm kind of trying to figure out where I'm going to go in this world, starting to call plays that maybe intentionally aren't on schedule, longer developing, like play action or roll in the pocket? How are you handling that kind of guy where you almost want him to be off of schedule, but it's hard for me because I'm a control freak? What are you doing in that world?
No, I don't really. I don't. I think those guys create. All right. And just so let them be creative. So if I force them, if I try to build the creative piece of them, then they're still in the structure of the offense. Right. Okay. So but like the whole progression thing and all that, I think the couple things I don't think we don't coach our young quarterbacks well enough is that we spend more time as football knowledge as far as understanding the defensive side of the football, right? So like if you're an RPO guy and it's a 3-prong, so I'm going to run a run, I'm in 3-by-1, I'm going to run a run, I got a hitch on the backside, I got a bubble screen to the front side, and I have a run, all right? Well, I want to coach the why of the play as much as I can to the kid, all right? And now, because he's basically holding the keys, he's basically holding my mortgage in his hand, right? So the decisions he makes are going to affect us and this whole football team. And so he's going to make mistakes, but I think the more reps he gets at doing those things and he's comfortable in that, then I think allows him to be creative. Now, when you're in the zone read world and the RPO world and the pull and run and throw stuff, you're basically you're giving him an opportunity to now be creative with the football on the perimeter, right?
Yeah, I think some of our biggest explosive plays where he probably misread a give pull and he pulled it, and then he made a guy miss, and you kind of feel bad for the defense because like they kind of played that right, and then their bonus player couldn't tackle my guy, so you're kind of like, well, I guess just pull it more,
Well, what I say is call it again.
Yeah, that's right.
So I got to with the RPO world and the offense the way it is, and I don't want to get too much into transfer portal and NIL and all that crap tonight, but because we know that's the next thing we have to tackle. I'm hearing a lot of complaints about development. Even the draft was 3 days ago, and we're looking at the quarterbacks that got taken off the board, and it's like, are these NFL ready quarterbacks? Are any of these guys actually developed? Do you feel like the evolution of football is taking us to where you can have more of a raw player? He doesn't have to be as developed, or is the scheme watered down so much we're just not able to develop them? What's the?
Yeah, there's a whole lot to do that if you are playing historically NFL offenses, right, from the past, right? Long words, long calls, kills, check to this, check to that. Yeah, that's a lot of mental gymnastics for a quarterback and takes time. Where you got a high school kid, where I can remember back when I first got into coaching, we all visited the NFL teams, right, and put in their offenses, and we taught our kids what the NFL guys were teaching their guys. Okay, well, nobody hardly does that anymore. Or if you go visit an NFL team, you're going to Kansas City and looking at, hey, you know what? Andy Reid, to me, like he's like one of my heroes, right? Because he adjusted to the times. He took a air raid quarterback from Texas Tech, right, and won a damn lot of games with him. right? That kid grew up throwing mesh where he didn't give a shit at what the secondary was. He didn't care. Coach Leach, Mike, it was like, we're going to run mesh, and it really doesn't matter what coverage you're in. You start here. If he's not open, you throw this guy. If he's not open, you throw that guy. So Patrick Mahomes, that's what he grew up in college, and he goes to Kansas City, and Andy Reid, I think, saw that. And if you watch their offenses, it's a lot of that, get the ball out quick, get it on the bubble screens, a lot of over stuff, what he calls 95, right, Coach? 95. So I think that's good. But I think the offenses they go to is, I agree with you, the kid coming out of high school, number one is take Gabriel, the kid that went to Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Well, he played in 4 offenses.
Yeah.
So he got taught 4 different ways. He got taught 4 different schemes, right? And so, there's not like, remember the old days? You come in as a freshman, you hopefully can learn the playbook. Then as a sophomore, you might get some reps. Then by your junior year, they thought, okay, you can handle this offense. Now you sign some high school kid, you throw him out there where he's the best athlete, you're gonna play him, right? So that's that read and react kind of offenses that I think we've all gone to, and not the historical, hey, 5-step drop under center, read the coverages, blah, blah, blah. So,
and that's why I think it's important. I know we'll get to our question in a minute, but I think it's very important. The NFL draft guys harped on it, but they didn't really go into specifics. It's important where you go, because think about Indianapolis takes Anthony Richardson, a freak athlete. He's great, and they ruined him. And then you have Patrick Mahomes go to Andy Reid, and he adjusts to him, and he wins. No offense to Cleveland, but that was the worst spot, in my opinion, for those 2 guys to go. Those guys go play for Mike McDaniel in Miami. You got a chance to be pretty good. He's pretty good with quarterbacks.
Yes.
You go somewhere else and they don't know how to do it. That's why, Dan, to your point, Daniel, the quarterbacks aren't getting developed in college anymore. They're expected to be developed when they get to the NFL. And if you're not prepared for that, you're going to fail. And like to Coach Mazzone's point, if you're not willing to look at what that kid does well and run your offense around that, you're going to fail. I mean, when I watched, I'm again, keep harping on the Dolphins here, but McDaniel calls plays that work for Tua. That's what he called. He builds his offense around that guy. That's why when he gets hurt, they can't win, because it fits his skill set. There are not a lot of NFL coaches or college coaches or dadgum even high school coaches that have less of an ego where they're willing to do that. Most of the time, we're going to run this.
And what's really what's really even made that even magnified that, right, is the portal. So I got my offense at ex-college, and I signed a kid. He can't run my system, but I watched, oh, wait, that guy that plays over at that college, that's the kind of guy I want in my offense. So I go raise my NIL money and go bring him and tell this guy, hey, you need to transfer. Right. So
is the transfer portal, and if a kid does the Dylan Gabriel route, he played at UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon, and I'm probably missing one.
Yeah.
But you just said it. He got to see a whole bunch of football. He learned a ton of systems, an air raid system. Oklahoma was kind of in the air raid, but my point is, he got to see a lot of football. Does that raise his stock or his football IQ to the point that quarterbacks need to make that the standard? Hey, I need to see as many offenses as possible if I want to go be good pretty quick in the NFL, versus I'm sitting here and I'm learning Kenny Simpson's gun tee for 4 years, and then I'm going to go pro. And we just said that people don't move the playbook to the quarterbacks. Maybe somebody drafts the kid and then what are you doing here?
I think it's back to what Kenny said. I said, what kind of system is he going to go to? So he's been in basically spread set, air raid, run and shoot type offenses. And if you watch him play, that's the type of kid he is, right? He gets it out quick. Obviously he's a half field, he's a half field or throwing off of one defender type steal. If that's your offense in the NFL, then yeah. But I think the main thing there, when I look at a guy like that, it's the guy's played a lot of college football.
Yeah.
Right. He's played 50 some games of college football. Patrick Mahomes, a lot of college football. as opposed to a guy that hasn't been in a lot of college games. Then I think that's also you check that box as a plus, right? A lot of, you know. So if we're gonna go into quotes, right? Your favorite quote is Buddha. Mine's Bruce Lee, right? I fear not the man who practices 10,000 kicks once, but the one who practices one kick 10,000 times, right? So this kid has seen a lot of coverages. He's had to make a lot of throws. He's had to learn a lot of different verbiage. So I think he's going to have an easier transition into instead of Kenny's guy who was running, split back veer for 4 years.
Yeah.
Not that you run split back veer.
No, you're good, Coach. Well, we're one, and I do want to hit this one because I know we got another question I want to get to. It kind of leads into it, but when you teach quarterbacks, I'm a huge believer of we are reading off a defender. Like I don't like reading progression. I don't like reading graphs. I don't like reading leverage. I don't really like reading any of that stuff. I like you read that defender, and if you're good, you might read that defender to that defender. How are you? Is that kind of your world, or how are you teaching them?
So there's always a form of progression. I'm not a pure progression guy. That's in fact, I used to be that way. I used to be, I don't care what the coverage is. Here's your progression, left to right, right to left, high to low, low to high, etc. Right. But I think the more, and actually I get a chance to spend a lot of time with Kurt Warner, and he talks about progressions, right, and about how a progression. There's always a progression in a concept. The trick is to recognize the defensive structure and know where the progression starts. So it doesn't always start at A. If your progression is A, B, C, D, and you see a certain coverage, right, then your first progression may start at C and go C, D, E, right? And so I think what I try to do with the quarterbacks is I want them to understand the why. Like I said earlier, the why. Like if I'm calling curl flat, I'm calling curl flat because I want you. The why is I want you to throw the curl. Okay, he's the guy I want to throw to. Now if it's cover 2, well, your read may not start with the curl. It may start with an OTB or whatever else, or start maybe a 2-beater on the backside. So I think the more that the kid understands the concept of the route, and then he can start to plug in the progression, the type of progression he needs to use. And I think, Kay, the other thing that I see, and I really saw when I went into high school, is that I don't think we do enough of, we're so infatuated now with throwing motions. And I get it. I mean, there's a quarterback, and they're good. They're all good at what they do. I have nothing against them. I'm all for, man. That's how they make their living. That's what they do. But there's such a, it's just so dissected and cut apart and do this and all that. And it is important. But there's like a quarterback guru on every corner, right? Okay. And so we're so which is good because it lets what it has done. It has taken the player and as when you don't have time to be with him, right, all the time, but he's got 4 days a week, he can go throw with this guy. Hey, that's great. I mean, the more you throw, the better, right? But I don't think that we then spend enough time teaching the kid the game of football. All right. I think football, the football IQ, the football knowledge, and like coaching the kid's feet. Like to me, the kid's feet and the route you're throwing are married, right? Teaching like just watch your guy in 7-on-7. What's he looking at? I mean, where's your eyes? All right. I mean, that's so important to me, your feet and your eyes. So I try to coach the feet and the eyes more than, we'll figure, if you can't throw it, guess what? I'm going to go get a guy that can. Right. Okay. It's kind of that simple. Okay. All right. I need a guy that can make great decisions and be accurate. Because if you can't make great decisions for this football team and be accurate for this football team, you're no good to me. You can make great decisions and not be accurate, you're no good. If you're accurate but can't make great decisions, you're no good. So you got to coach those two pieces of the quarterback.
Right.
I love it.
And I think that's what our next question kind of is. We've kind of got all around it, I think, Daniel. But, so I know you just mentioned you volunteer coach at the high school level. I know you've coached at the NFL level. You've coached at the UFL level. You've coached at the college level. most of our listeners, I would imagine, are probably high school coaches. So if they're listening to this, what do you see as the biggest differences, high school level, college, pro, and things that, if you could talk to them specifically, you'd say, hey, here's what I'd focus on.
What I want to focus on is I think we get caught up because there's such an accessibility to information today, right? I mean, when I grew up, you had to own a 16 millimeter projector at your house to be able to watch film. All right. And who in the hell had a VCR that could record games? There was like two games. There was like 2 college games on TV. So, you had to go visit people and, but now all I got to do is pick my phone up and I got 25 guys on Twitter or X or whatever it's called that are showing me plays all day long. Right. Okay, so there's such an accessibility to information out there for coaching. And there are a billion great plays. Nobody's cornered the market on great plays. All right, there's no play that's the greatest play that was ever invented. All right, run or pass. All right, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Okay, and there's a lot of smart dudes out there. And so I think is that I want to be known to be good at something. All right, and how's the saying go? All right. The champions have embraced being bored, right? Boredom. Championships embrace guys that are champions or successful can embrace being bored. All right. And so I'm a very high rep guy. And so you always want to keep adding. I watched this play on Sunday. Let's put this in. Oh man, so-and-so's doing this over here. Let's put that in. All right. Well, yeah, that's all great stuff, but man, you got to have a foundation. Your offense, your kids have to know who are you and what are you trying to do with your offense? Whatever offense it is. It could be wishbone. It could be, I promise you this, if you're Emery Ballard, all right, I promise you this, you better stop the damn fullback dive, all right? Because he's going to run it till your nose bleeds, and he's going to make you stop it. And then when you stop it, he's going to have an answer. All right. And so I feel that's how I kind of look at the high school thing. It's not just drawing up a bunch of cool plays and showing cards. It's not 7-on-7, right? 7-on-7's got its good and its bad to me. All right. Because it's not real football. But I love what the kids get it. They're running, they're working, they're throwing and catching. I think that's great. But as far as what they're doing schematically, it's not real football. So like I actually went when I went to this high school, we won back-to-back state championships, right? And I think they were like basically a 4 or 5 win team, right? I actually had almost a 2,000-yard rusher and ran the same 2 run schemes the whole year. But my guys were really good at it, right? And they had the answers to the test, all right? I didn't have to call a new play when they stopped it. They knew when they stopped it with this, it was built in. This is what they did. So that would be how I look at the game.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, Coach. That's right up my alley. I think probably up Daniel's alley too. So
for sure. So what differences have you seen at each of those levels? Just now that you have coached each one, I know we kind of talked about what you're focusing on, but people, I mean, I know when I started 4 or 5 years ago, I would never thought that I knew as much football as like an entry-level NFL guy, but it seemed to me like football is just football now, right? Like if I go talk to a college coach, we're all kind of talking about the same stuff. So was there really any difference there? What guys are trying to do with football? We talk about John Gruden's play calls and mine are way different, but
Yeah, here's the difference in the NFL, right? That's all you do. You get the office at whatever's 8 a.m. and you do nothing but football all day. You don't have to worry about recruiting. You don't have to worry about NIL. You don't have to worry about going to a class. You don't have to worry about a kid and the other thing is your students in NFL, all right? It's a business to them. And when they come, they're a lot, you don't have to worry about some kid's mom picking them out of the class because he's got a dentist appointment, right? Or, they're back there screwing around the back or whatever. You don't have any of those issues, right? Because those guys are thinking about the next contract. and they want to look good. I mean, they need to keep their job, and to keep their job, they have to be productive. All right, they have to perform on Sunday. So the NFL's like football is that's all you do all the time, 24/7, and the guys you're coaching, that's all. They're very engaging and engrossed in what you do, right? In college now, it kind of goes in levels, right? In college now, there's college life. There's all the other things that you have to deal with as a college student, in football. And then high school, I don't know. Like, I think the pay scale is exactly wrong. All right. The guy coaching at a single A high school ball, the offensive coordinator, he's the guy that should be making $1 million because his job's hard. All right. I mean, oh my gosh. It's like, where's so-and-so today? Oh, his mom picked him up. He had to go see grandma. Hey, did anybody line the fields today? No, there's no hash marks on the field. Do we have bags or cones or anything? No. I mean, you have to do right? You have to do wait, we're gonna install red zone today. Okay, coach, we got 20 minutes before they have to go to class. You got 20 minutes. Yep. So those are the guys that need to get paid.
I've always said, I think the hardest job on the planet in coaching football is a 2A defensive coordinator. Like, I think that's the hardest job you can do because all the problems you just mentioned. Then you don't have the athletes, and you're going to see a different offense, a flavor of the week offense every stinking week. Those guys, man, you earn your keep with that.
Well, wait a minute. And on Wednesday practice, those 2 D linemen that you're counting on, they have to go over and they're playing on offenses today. They're practicing offense. Right. So you're playing with a couple of guys they'll never play, right? You're practicing those guys. So, yeah, those guys, my hat's off to those guys.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure. All right, last thing I got on here, Coach, I want to hit, and then whatever Daniel wants to hit too, is you're kind of the master, in my opinion. I know you're going to be humble about it, but you're kind of the master of packaging plays. Like you do a really good job of, here's curl flat, and like you said, the curl flat's curl flat. But the way I took a lot of things from you, where you would make 2 plays, 1 word, and it became 1 concept. So how do you go about doing that? I mean, are you still doing that? Are you using a lot of formations, motions? How are you taking multiple things and keeping them, kind of a package deal?
So if I understand your question correctly, so it all goes back to like earlier in the conversation, right? So if you're having steak for dinner, right? And your steak dinner, your steak, you know how to cook this steak, and it's the best steak you can ever cook. And there's nothing, and whatever happens, if the grill's not hot enough or too hot or whatever, you know how to cook this steak exactly, right? Okay. So that's, to me, is the base. So once your kids understand that, guess what? We're going to put some mashed potatoes on your plate. Okay. So instead of it being in their mind, instead of it being a whole new words, whole new direction that you're heading, and then they go, oh, so it's like, hey, remember we ran this play? You guys are really good at this play. Well, look, I'm just going to add this little something over here for this play. And if this happens, then throw it to that guy. Okay. And so you kind of, like, I always look at offense like a Lego set. All right. You build the base of the Lego, and then you just keep adding to the base. I don't build 25 different Lego sets. It's all the same Lego set. And then I want them to know why I'm doing that. Well, why are we doing that? Because if you see too high coverage, split safety coverage, all right, that's your answer. Because this other play is no good, okay? Or it's tough, all right? So I want to always attack on offense. And to me, I don't never want to play defense on offense. So I'm not a big check guy, or if they see this, check to this play or whatever. I want them to have the answers to the test when I call a play is built into to what's in that play. I don't know if that made sense to you or not.
No, it did. It did. And I think kind of keep on rolling here with I feel like you're one of the guys that really kind of built out the RPO world that way. And I think that it's good to hear how you thought of it, because we're a big RPO team. I always like to see how other people are thinking about that. Of course, we pair a lot of our stuff off buck sweep or pin and pull type stuff.
So do I. Love pin and pull, my favorite play.
Yeah, and so we've just now what if we, instead of running the glance route with the slot, we brought our H back across and read that, so that's, I've always kind of like to pick brains of guys like you, because I feel like we used to run like Q draw with a throw option.
Right. So I see it as two different pieces. Like I said, the Lego set. So when you build your Lego set of the stake, right? The stake, that's the run game. That's your pin and pull. All right. So your line has practiced that 1 billion times, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do on pin and pull. Okay. Now, so really the only thing I game plan is I know I'm going to call pin and pull. I'm just going to, hey, you guys are going to run Omaha. Okay. Now what I game plan is, all right, how can I affect the other 6 guys on defense? Because on defense, to me, there's reactionary players on defense. So guys that are run past guys, linebackers, strong safeties, right? Corners are corners. They got to cover the deep third. Safeties got ends are ends. They got the C gap. Defensive tackles got the A and B gap, right? But linebackers have to stop a run and stop a pass. So those are the guys I want to affect. So instead of ever changing the play, the scheme of the play, I just want to change the presentation of the play and build, like you said, hey, let's add a motion. Let's put this in a boundary. Let's go 3 by 1. Let's go 2 back and motion, So, but the pin and pull part is never going to adjust.
Good. And that's one thing we've had to kind of work with is we started getting linemen downfield. And so we've had to kind of start working on, these longer developing type RPOs. So we've had to do alert calls and do different things in that world. And how have you handled that? Are you just kind of if you get a lineman downfield, you get one downfield?
Until it becomes a problem, I don't worry about it. It has never really, I'm going to get one every now and then.
Right.
I've been running RPO since 2009. All right. And I'm going to tell you, in that, however many years that is, that's a lot of years, 15, 16 years, right? I bet you I can't remember having more than 3 or 4 linemen downfield ever during the year, right? Yeah. And so a lot of that is just the mechanics of your quarterback and your receivers. And then like pin and pull when you're manning the backside and you're pinning and pulling, obviously it's going to take a lineman longer to get downfield. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Zone read, when guys are coming off and they're trying to fit linebackers right now. All right. Those are what I call first level conflict guys. All right. Most of my stuff there is either really quick game or it's receiver screens. When it goes down the field, it's more things where the scheme, the linemen aren't really trying to get off on linebackers really quick, like gap schemes, things like that, right? Where they're staying on double team. So you kind of marry those things together. But like if I was to start like from day one, the very first thing I teach my quarterbacks is, and this is how I want to teach them coverages and fronts, is the best way is just a 3 by 1 spread, 3 by 1. So, and I try to say, look at to the single receiver side, he's going to run quick game. He's going to run a hitch. Over here, these 3 receivers are going to run a screen. Okay. Now I got 5 blockers. So offense is all about number, space, and leverage. Okay. So your quarterback has to understand number, space, and leverage. So you got to know that if I have 5 blockers and there's 2 deep safeties, there should only be 5 defenders in the box. If there's 2 deep safeties and a 6th defender in the box, then you have numbers. Yes, so you've got numbers, right? I got numbers on my screen. Okay. If there's 6 defenders in their box and there's only 1 safety, it's a post safety look, then that means I have a 1-on-1 with my quick game. So that's the 3 prongs of it. If it's 2 receivers and there's only 5 in the box, hand the damn ball off. Okay. So I talk about wide vision and narrow vision. So I really think that as you teach a quarterback, I've always thought that how you put information in a computer is how it comes out. So I really think it's important as a coach that you watch your verbiage on how you talk to your players. So when I talk to my players about my quarterback, and I think it's true for all positions, but I never want to give them information that's more than 2 or 3 words. I never want them to think in sentences. All right. So like when I ask, hey, Johnny, what are you doing on that? Well, I thought, Well, as soon as they say that, no, okay, you're done. Okay, what do you think, right? All right. I saw split safety, the Mike backwards out of the box. I knew I should. I know. So I want them to think, and then how I put the information in when they think of the play. So I always ask. I ask them when I actually have the first part of when I have quarterbacks. I actually teach them how to take notes and how to on concepts and how to write it out. Right. So what the first thing they need to know is what's the concept. Well, let's just say it's curl flat concept, okay? All right, it's curl flat. Is there a code word for this concept? Yes, it's called Hank, let's say. All right, okay. Okay, what's the next most important thing to you as a quarterback? It's protection, okay? What protection is this? Well, this is 6-man protection. It's 60 protection. Okay, good. Okay, what's the next most important thing to you as a quarterback? My footwork. Okay, good. What's your footwork? It's 3 and a hitch. Perfect, Johnny. All right. Okay. The next thing you got to know is what? Are there any hots? No, there's no hots. There's no hots. What happens if 2 guys come? What if you get 2 blitzers off the back? Oh, well, then we can't. So anyway, whatever your protection is, right? Either there's a hot. If there is a hot, who are you hot off of, and who is your answer? Okay. Then the last thing is there any alerts? And what I mean by an alert is it's something out of the ordinary of his normal progression. So let's say I had curl flat, all right, and let's just say we called Y over, okay, and you got the go route over here. Well, the go route's basically a clear route, okay, but your alert on that play would be if you get press man coverage on the go route, forget everything else. I'm throwing to go, okay. So that would be an alert. If the corner's off, I don't even think about him. So that's where an alert or an alert would be when you get man coverage. What do you alert to? My best man beater. Okay, well it's the dig route or the shallow cross, whatever concept. So then I want them to think of the play that way. I don't want them to come out and say, oh, if it's cover 2, I do this, but if it's blitz over here, I do this. Then they're just like they're searching, right? They're scanning, they're searching for information. No, I need them to have a procedure. So I make them write this down when they draw the play, right? It's always those things, right? It's always concept, code word, protection, footwork, all right? Hots and alerts, okay? Those things they have to know. Then after that, then I say, okay, you got all that down. Now it's wide vision, narrow vision, all right? So wide vision does and I learned this from Trent Dilford years ago. Wide vision calms your quarterback, right? So if I'm a quarterback and I'm doing this, you're seeing everything, you're seeing nothing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first thing I say is you're going to take wide vision of the back end of the defense, right? If they start looking at the front and the 3 technique is stemming and the Mike's stepping up in the A gap and he's walking back and they're like, oh shit, right? Okay. No, take a wide vision of it. And all I need to know, do you think there's 2 safeties deep, or do you think there's 1 safety deep, or there's no safeties deep? That's all you got to see, bro. Just look up. So it calms you. It goes, oh, okay. So I always give them this example. Do we got time? I'm
taking notes and telling my coaches to watch this. So keep going.
Yeah. So it's like this. All right. You go to the club. All right. You go to the bar. The band's playing. It's packed. And you open the door to the bar and you walk in. What's the first thing you do? You take a wide vision of your situation, right? You step there and you look around and you go, okay, band's playing. There's some cute girls here. Doesn't look like there's any biker dudes or fights going on. Doesn't look like, this looks like my kind of place. Okay. Where if you walked in and 2 guys were fighting over here and the band's playing some kind of punk rock something or whatever, what would you do? You'd leave. Okay. So you take a wide vision of it. You go, okay, I'm comfortable. I see what's going on here. Okay. Then once you see the wide vision, then I tell them, okay, now who's important to your play? Because all 11 of these guys ain't important. 1 guy out there is important to what you're trying to do. Okay. If it's curl flat, it's this curl flat defender. All right. If it's zone read, and there's 6 in the box, it's the end. If it's pin and pull, it's the backside backer. So there's one guy that's important. So at the club, again, wide vision, I'm comfortable. You look over at the bar, and there's a very cute girl sitting at the bar, right? What do you get? You get narrow vision. Now, nothing else matters in this bar except her, right? And so that's how you're going to make your decisions for the night. Same thing. So wide vision, narrow vision, who's important to you? Well, it's pin pull, it's the backside backer, right? So all you have to do as a quarterback, right, is you have to beat him. You don't have to beat all those other guys. You have to beat him, and then that could either start your progression, right, or start your decision-making as a quarterback. So then I have them go through split safety, cover 2, cover 6. It really doesn't matter. If you're split safety, whether you're 6'4" or whatever, all right, the next step now is the layout of the split safety, whether it's quarters or 2 or whatever. Now they start understanding, oh, you said if I got cover 4, right, or the corner off over here, my alert says throw the hitch. Cover 2, so who is important? The corner. Oh, he's off, throw the hitch, because the corner's the only guy that's important. All right. I don't know if that all made sense, but that's
It does.
how
It absolutely does.
I love it, Coach. I've been texting everybody, telling them to make sure they're paying attention to all this.
But now if you take that thought process and you do it I do it for every play in the offense, run and pass. All right. It's the same if you run a naked, right? All right. It's cover. It's I look up wide vision. It's cover 2. Okay. I got a feeling what's going to happen here. Okay. Some sort of split safety defense. Okay. Who's the most important guy to you right now? You go through your footwork. Oh, naked footwork. Are there hots? Yes, there's a hot. Who's the hot? The end. Right. I'm booting back to an end. He's the most important guy to me, right? So I have to make sure that I can get the playoff. I gotta handle him. Oh, wait a minute. There's edge pressure. All right. Coach says if there's edge pressure, look up. Oh, my narrow vision's the edge. Oh, there's edge pressure. He said check it to zone read the other way or whatever, right? Okay. So you can go through every play you have, and they have a procedure. It's a procedure of, so they check each box, and then I want them to think about it that way. And then I'll check their notes, and as they write when they write it down, I want it to be as concise and use as little amount of words as you can when you take your notes. So it should be like short verbal blasts, bam, split safety, narrow vision, will, okay, cross the center, throw the backside slant, those type of things.
And now, Coach, I want to ask you too. I know, again, you've coached at a lot of levels, so you get the debate from a lot of guys. How thick is the playbook? It's like you've got a lot of concepts in there. Are you a fewer concept, a lot of tags? Because the way you're teaching this stuff is awesome. How much stuff are you putting on the quarterback's plate, or do you vary it by the quarterback you have?
No. If I had my call sheet up right here, I'm about a 25 to 32 play volume guy.
That's it.
Love it. That's it. I want to be really good at a few things. I don't want to be kind of average at a lot of things, right? If you go back to Vince Lombardi, right, and the Packers sweep, by God, he was going to run that play, and you had to stop it. So I believe everybody in the world knows I run zone read with an RPO.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the world knows that's what I do, right? And I've been running the same damn RPOs, the same damn zone read, the RPO for a lot of years, and usually would have a top 25 offense every year, all right? And so now when they stop it, all right, so when I start that, then you go, okay, so let's say an example. So if you go 2 back and we're going to quick motion to 3-by-1 like our fast motion, right? So 2 receivers. So for the bubble screen, all right. So there's a bubble screen out there. Well, how's the defense going to react to that? Well, they've only got 3 options. Either they spin a safety down, right, They stay the same. Nobody moves, which I see in high school. Nobody ever moves in high school, right? Or the backer leaves the box. That's it. That's all they can do, right? So if the backer leaves the box, I got the numbers in the box. If the safety rolls down, I got the quick game on the backside. If nobody moves, I've added numbers. I got the screen. So that's the three. There's 3 plays in that one play, right? Okay. So now the next thing is, all right, how do I protect the screen and how do I protect the quick game? All right. So now I need them to be able to, hey, there's other things we do out of that motion. Now they roll it down. Their answer is roll it to my motion. So now I know I get them in cover 3. So on my call sheet, oh, that's how they're stopping the fast motion. My next one is play action. Let's throw Y over. Let's throw Y over back here. They rolled that way. I want to throw the ball back here, right? Oh, they're playing cover 2 and they're playing hard on my screen out there. Hey, let's lock the screen. Let's run 2 verticals with the bubble. Now they got to worry about the bubble and the 2 verticals. So like as a play caller, I'm not just like dialing. I just don't go down and just dial the plays up. I'm calling plays and trying to see what their answer is. And now I have to build in my answers for what they do.
Right. Man, I love it.
I want to be a play caller. I just don't want to call plays.
That's exactly.
No, there's a huge difference too, for sure, Coach. For sure.
It's exactly what I think modern offenses are going to as well. I realize you've been ahead of the game for a long time, Coach, and then Kenny, of course, taking a lot of your stuff and mixing it with some of his knowledge and making the gun tee is spreading like wildfire. I've said it for a long time. I'm up here around these Bixby guys. They're putting up 40 points a game or whatever over 15 years. I think that's modern football, is just tag stuff up and run less, but it looks like so much more. And man, I think that's a play caller's dream, really. You're right. You don't have to install. I mean, install week is pretty short and sweet when it's 5 or 6 plays and then some tags.
Well, when you only get one day to put an offense in, Coach, you better keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, I went into here, so I came here, and not to say anything about anything, just what happened here is they had it was like 92 plays on their call sheet, right? So I got here, we went into last, and they hadn't won a game. So I came last week in 1 week, right? I called 25 plays in last week's game, right? So the old adage of schemes don't win football games, players win football games, I truly believe in. If your guy's confident and they know what they're doing. So I always think about Joe Montana told me the story once about how he was there was a Super Bowl and he went on a 2-minute drive, right? And they went down and win the game. It wasn't the Super Bowl, it was a playoff game or something. They went down and won, and it was like a 7-play drive, and they went down the field and scored. And he goes, yeah. I go, man, what were you doing on the 2-minute? And all that. He goes, hey, we called the same play 6 times in a row, but I threw it to 6 different guys. Okay. There's a guy running an offense, right?
Right.
He's not counting on me to get me to call the play that works. He's got the answers to the test before the test is given.
Good deal.
That's awesome.
Well, Daniel, I'm about out of questions. I hate for Coach to go, but I know, Coach, I got a game to win Saturday, so I hate to eat up a lot of your time. But so tell us a little bit about. I know you're still doing End Zone. I know you still got the website and all that. Tell us a little bit about that stuff.
Yeah, here I get yelled at home all the time by my wife, right? Because I always get emails and phone calls because I'm like you. It's like I have a site, the End Zone Football website, I've got 16 years of all my games and cut-ups. And right now I'm actually trying to organize it, right? And because they got that new library now on Huddle. So the 2 Huddle guys are like very good friends of mine, right? They used to sleep on my couch when they first started Huddle. Okay. So I'm trying to organize it so it make it easier for the high school coach to look at. And where I really saw a need, Kenny, what Coach was now that I wasn't like doing the college thing, I was doing the high school thing. I really saw a need in youth football of guys like you, at some point, right? Like me at my point in my career, where, there's a ton of smart guys out there, but I've done it a long time where that gap of kid from 10-year-old to 14-year-old before he goes into high school and they're in these youth football programs, how much help those guys need with just a game of football, how much help those kids need with the game of football. So I'm really trying. I've really got a bunch of the youth football guys that are using my system. And so what happens is guys call me and I just share my damn login with them and they jump on there. So she's always mad, like, you should be making some money off this thing. I said, yeah, I should be, but I don't. Right.
First of all, you should have got in with the huddle guys, because those dudes you need to sleep on their couch now, because they're probably doing pretty well.
Actually, one of the Dave and Matt's, they're the two founders. I'll give you the quick story is how they got started. Is they were at Nebraska and they were in a computer science class, and Bill Callahan was the head coach. And Bill Callahan called the computer science lab or professor and said, hey, send some guys up here. I have an idea. I want my guys to go home and be able to watch practice on their back then they didn't have laptops, on their PCs at home, whatever, their desktops or whatever at home. So they sent like 10 kids up there, and he kind of explained to them what he wanted to do. And he said, now, if anybody's interested in helping me, call me back. Well, David Graff and Mateo, they're the only two that called him back. And so they got with Coach Callahan. Well, that was like 2007 or 8. Well, then I was at the Jets and we hired Bill Callahan when they got fired in Nebraska as our O-line coach. Dave and Matt showed up, and I lived in New York by myself. These two guys they didn't have a dollar to their name hardly, right? And so they came trying to start huddle. So I said, hey guys, just stay at my house. So they stayed at my house. And they had like a Huddle Pro, and they were trying to get it going. There's only 2 guys in the whole company, right? And so then I leave the Jets and go to ASU and started doing the Glazier tour. And so they would travel with me. They would meet me at all the towns, and they would set up huddle outside my talks, right? And I would say, hey guys, the best thing you can do is buy Huddle and use it at your high school and talk to the guys out front when you leave. And so that's kind of how I've known those guys forever.
That's impressive. That's pretty cool. And now they're everywhere now.
Oh my gosh, they're global. They're killing it.
Yeah,
they're getting ready. Yeah, they're getting ready to come up with a new deal with to kind of break into the NFL. NFL doesn't really use Huddle. It's kind of always seen as a high school platform.
Yeah,
but these guys are cutting edge guys, and so they're now they got like 700 employees.
So. That's crazy. That's great. All the clinics you see everywhere. So, all right, Daniel, what else you want from Coach before we let him get ready?
Man, I hate to steal any more time, Coach, to be honest with you. Love to be able to talk ball again sometime soon, so we'll try to get you back in after the season or something's over. But we just want to thank you for your time this evening.
I appreciate it. Hope I wasn't too boring. Sometimes I talk too much when I get a couple ball coaches, and I get to tell my story. I sit in this office all day long by myself. Right.
You need an assistant, and I know a guy.
I need an assistant. Yes. Tell all your coaches out there if they're interested, they just got to go to www.endzonefootball.com, and they can.
It's good stuff, guys. Yeah, that's where I got a lot of the gun tee ideas from. This Coach, and we're so gracious with his time to be here, Coach. When we may reach out again, and we'll let you. You're going to turn it around, win the championship here. I'm feeling it, Coach. So no pressure.
Oh gosh, it will be a small miracle, but we'll try our hardest.
That's right. Yeah. We'll appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Real quick, want to run through my sponsors real fast. Thank you, guys. Ace Sports, Mark and Ryan, and the guys. If you're looking for a video board, hey, if the Memphis Showboats need a video board, have them holler over at Mark.
What's a video board?
Man, it's just the big scoreboards with all the videos and graphics on it and everything else.
For where? For your office or for the field?
For the football field, Coach. Yeah, out on the football field.
You need to tell those guys to contact me because I'm in the process of building a training facility in Scottsdale with 7-on-7 fields.
I will. I got your number on text. I'll hook you up with Mark Bridges. There we go. Made a deal right here on the podcast.
Check out hold on before you get going too far, Daniel. If you need guys to come out to Scottsdale and help with 7-on-7 in the winter.
This is what we're going to do is next spring, you got to remind me of this. Next spring, I'm going to fly you out and we're going to do a high school clinic. Let you come out and talk to Arizona high school coaches.
I'm gonna remind you.
You and I will talk. We'll bring both you guys and me. We'll grab one other guy or whatever, and we'll do a little clinic and have you guys talk and bring your golf clubs.
That'd be awesome. Well, you can teach me, I guess. I don't know.
It's all right. You can wait at the pool bar for us.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's not a bad deal either, bro.
Appreciate it, Coach. Appreciate your time. Guys, appreciate you for listening to the Coaching 101 podcast. I hope you join us next week as we continue to make the complex more simple. Please consider subscribing to the show so you always know when the new episodes are out. We're looking for reviews, looking for 5-star reviews. Give us your 5 stars so we can spread the word to more coaches. We'll leave you with this. It's hard to beat someone who never gives up. No matter the situation, find a